Jake Doolittle is a reaction YouTuber. Dear Lord, we are going nowhere good fast if reaction YouTubers in the first damn sentence. Anyway, Jake Doolittle is a reaction YouTuber who for about a year now has been simmering in a pot of his own poor social skills, which is in the last week or two just started to boil over into the end of his own online career. Harassing and stalking big YouTubers like H3H3, desperately trying to get his name out there to be picked up and brought to safety from his dying YouTube career, which had its glory days fade away around 2-ish years ago. Yeah, really not a fun situation for anyone involved here. Being totally real, I've touched grass a little bit too much lately to know who Jake Doolittle is before making this video, so I had quite a bit of homework to do to get a good sense of who this guy is. Now, for my fellow grass touchers, I've got a quick summary of this whole situation and why we're watching this guy who seemingly has a lot of clout behind his name with 288k subs just completely implode on himself. So the situation starts quite a bit ago. Our friend Jake likes to do some photography on the side and ended up taking some pictures of Charlie D'Amelio of all people, which he was trying to sell to her and her team. They take the pictures and don't actually pay him. Actually, they threaten legal action on him. Klein hears about this and picks up the story for his podcast. He goes as far to offer Jake $500 as a nice little gesture, which sparks up the first bad omen of things to come. Jake, in what was actually a pretty smart move, asked Ethan to keep the money and just look at his resume, hoping to get a job working on the H3 podcast. Quick opinion interjection, that's not a bad idea. Actually, that's great self-marketing. I don't think that one scenario in particular is weird at all. It's bold to go out and take a shot like that, especially in such a public setting. He didn't end up getting the job under Ethan, and if that's where the story ended, there wouldn't be a story here at all. Instead of just calling it quits on that front after not getting the job, he takes it just a little step further. And by step, I mean he tries to take a big jump up a full flight of stairs, completely fails the landing, starts screaming, falling down the stairs, knocks a tooth out on the fall down, and finally slamming into the person behind him and knocking them down too. And by them, I mean his whole YouTube career. Our story picks back up at the first creator clash a while back. Jake's had a press pass with him, and, to take pictures and stuff. Well, back in the days of the first creator clash, security wasn't as tight as it eventually got. This being evident in the fact that Jake Doolittle was given a press pass, because that's just a great idea right there. There was a big ordeal with info getting leaked on where creators were staying the night of the event, which led to fans staking out in front of hotels with the hopes of getting an interaction with the creators they watch, and our previously 300,000 subscriber friend ended up being one of those creeps. Starkilla, or AB from the H3 podcast, because this whole story just revolves around the H3 podcast for some reason. Dog, you really ruined your whole career to try to be a part of the H3 podcast. I mean, to each their own, but is the guy who said it's not worth it to exercise the guy you really want to throw your career over for? Jake already asked AB to collab and he shot Jake down, so this isn't the first interaction these two had, and it's not the first one is all that positive either. AB chooses the worst possible dialogue options given to him and ended up collabing with Jake after he was able to figure out where AB was staying and waited very patiently for AB to show up. I haven't watched the full collab video because I just simply don't want to, but I've seen a bit of the intro and yeesh, man.
Hi sisters, today I'm doing a video with my pal AB.
Hello, how's it going?
It's going great, man. I'm so happy to have you here. I've wanted to do a video with you for a while.
I'm new to doing this whole YouTube collab type thing. That's what you would call it, but
sure.
Yes, I'm honored. Thank you for having.
With the pretext finally out of the way, we get to where we are today. Oop, that rhymed. So Jake's running some shitty charity trying to raise money for hey guys, I'm not all quite sure what Jake's charity is raising money for. It's kind of vague and hard to spot, but the charity supposedly raises money for people suffering from quote-unquote chronic illness, but doesn't actually specify if there's any illness in particular that they're trying to support people with. Chronic illness is a pretty big blanket term here. They've claimed to have raised $10K and give it to families in need, but he's got a testimonial tab on his website and it's just completely blank. I'm not trying to insinuate that there's something shady going on here. There's just a very suspicious lack of information being shown here, and it's not like Jake's public actions make it look any better. A few days ago, Jake posted a video bitching about YouTubers not supporting his charity even though they have so much money to give, and he believes he's owed so because he's gone so above and beyond for some undisclosed YouTubers before, and now he feels like he's been wronged because they won't help him. Anyway, he doesn't really specify that he means H3, but yeah, he means H3, and dog, I don't blame them at all for not wanting to support you. When you've been an absolute creep to half of their team, like begging for their attention, why would they want to support you? They don't have to, and there are definitely better charities more deserving of their money if they make the choice of actually donating to something. This whole like charity thing isn't like the whole story though. I've got a bit of a bone to pick with Jake's content itself. Like I said earlier, I did my homework for this video, and in doing my homework, I came across a TikToker by the name of Manoa. I think I pronounced that right. She makes totally hashtag relatable videos for Gen X people. Not exactly my cup of tea. I get enough Gen X better brain rot from my mother. I don't exactly need to be preached at on TikTok too. Regardless, Jake reacts to her content in one of his videos, basically shitting on the content she makes. And at the time, Jake had an audience of like over 11 times bigger than hers. That is a big target to put on someone there. Like, talk about kicking below the belt. I mean, if you're gonna take shots at someone, go for someone bigger than you. Be a man. It's not making them come off as any more likable by kicking people smaller than you. Maybe if they like really deserve it, but the woman the same age as my mom trying to make some funnies with people like her age really didn't do anything to be picked on by someone with such a larger audience than hers. That's just one example of the cracks in Jake's content, because remember, when Jake's not using his photography side job as a way to stalk big YouTubers, he's got his own career to worry about, which hasn't exactly been perceived well for like 2 years now. Criticisms like he's not funny, he's not interesting, not exactly issues you want to have if you're a reaction channel. So all of these messes have come together into one giant shit sandwich we call the life of Jake Doolittle, which is quite the name considering that he's doing the most, so much so that it's ruining his career. I like to try and find some meaning out of these little like YouTube drama situations, so we all come out of a really stupid thing like this as better people. It's what makes my slop better than all the other like mountains of slop on this platform. And if I had to take away something from a situation as brain dead as this one, it'd have to be to just like know when to call it quits. Like, we were taught in life that it is good to be persistent, and for the most part that's absolutely true, but there's absolutely such thing as too much persistence. Sometimes you gotta just cut your losses before you end up making a real mountain out of a molehill like Jake did. I'm not a big fan of the H3 podcast, but it's one of the biggest podcasts in the world, and Jake made himself an enemy of it because he could not take no for an answer. This mentality is in real time making his channel bleed out pretty fast too. When you get too hyper fixated on things, you're liable to neglect other aspects of your life. In Jake's case, instead of focusing on trying to get the attention of Ethan Klein, maybe that time would have been better spent, I don't know, making your own content a bit more interesting when that's the biggest criticism you were facing at the time. I mean, you wouldn't need to have H3 boost your career if you simply just made your career better yourself. We can all apply this idea of not hyper fixating too hard to our own lives. Maybe you're a bit too locked in with school or work. It could be hurting your personal relationships or your health, any other aspect of your life. I don't know. I don't know you. I'm a figment that exists on the internet. I could be completely AI generated for all you know. Just take a step back and evaluate your life every now and then. Introspection's super important, because if you don't, you might end up like the next Jake Doolittle in your own life story, and I don't really think anyone wants to end up like that. But that's it from me. I'm done preaching at you now. I'm new here. I think this is my 8th video. If you liked it, help me get out of low sub purgatory. I don't really care about sub count besides hitting 1,000, so I can actually like start making some money off of the content I pour my heart and soul into just to make a pile of slop later on. So like, if you want more, if you want more, holy crap, I'm gonna leave that in there. So like, you want more content, then add a D to that subscribe button. Seriously, it's a tiny click for you, but a big step forward for me. All right, guys, see ya.